Let's do that to, okay, do it. I meant this. Right. I will call the meeting to order. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. And if there are any guests, Toastmasters in the room, Toastmasters on Zoom. For this morning, do we have music going? Yeah, they're gonna turn it. Oh, okay. Okay, keep going. I am opening the meeting. Is there anyone that has any announcements before we get started? Okay. I don't. Sam? Okay. We will begin the meeting with our inspiration from Dave Shannon.
Good morning, everyone. It is bittersweet this morning. I am going to be in North Carolina next week. So this is my last meeting. But I went to two teachers that I taught with and I also subbed with, took me out to lunch yesterday. And they said, what are you going to miss? And I said, I'm going to miss the Optimist Club because they helped me with my ASL. But that was a club. But what I'm really going to miss is the Toastmasters because they're not a club. They're like a family. And I consider that as inspiring. And then I'm now going to embarrass the person to my right. He sits across from me at the Optimist Club. And we're chatting away. We're like, we fight over the trivia questions. We block everybody else out. Him and I go head to head and the Davids take over. But I'm leaving and I went to the high school. One of my best friends in the high school is a social studies teacher, also the union president. And I thought of him and I thought of this club. He is the expert on the Erie Canal. We know it. And I texted my friend in the social studies department. I said, could you use a really polished speaker to give some insight on the Erie Canal that the normal kids do not get? He said, yeah, but is he willing to go down to the 4th grade? Because that's where they teach American history. And so he asked me for his information. He's going to forward it to the people in the 4th grade in Lockport. And I hope he takes it up and he continues speaking and inspiring young people, because I don't think any of their teachers have as much knowledge as they do about the Erie Canal as this man. No, it's your passion, the Erie Canal. He fights with me. What's more important, the Erie Canal or New York City? And we go back and forth. Okay. So my inspiration has come from this family. And in the spring, I hope it even grows even more, just like the flowers do. All right, thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much. And now if you'll stand or remain standing for our pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, you have one announcement. I'm like, I don't know why you want me to look up at the ceiling, but okay.
Good morning, everybody. Just want to do a quick announcement. Jackie was on last night on LCTV promoting our club. So I posted a link on Facebook and to catch Jackie's wonderful interview, which I did enjoy for half hour last night. So catch on LCTV's website, which is on the Facebook page. Thank you.
For those who need to know, in the room today is Jackie, Mark, Len, Dave Shannon, Sylvia, Mary, Maggie Craig, myself, Eric, Nancy Ferry, Marty, Mike Florio, Kate Orr, Dave Licata, and Joe Budniak. On Zoom is Les Robinson, Margot Sue Bittner, Tracy Farrell, Mike Licata, David Jones, Phil Russell, and Carol Ann Halstead. Thank you very much. And I will now turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day, who just got quite a plug. You can just pretend we're fourth graders.
Huh?
You can just pretend we're fourth graders.
Oh, what a reach that'll be. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that made this so easy. The agenda so easy. And they all signed up and they let me know they were coming. I know that for a fact because my son Michael went on the computer and told me. I suppose I could have done it myself, I hope. So I appreciate that. Thank you. David Jones, we warned you. David Shannon is coming. You've had plenty of warning. Good luck, buddy. But I want to proffer a toast because my theme this morning, as time goes so fast, and if you're of a certain age, like I am, it goes even faster. I cannot get over it. I cannot believe it, how fast things go. So I'm asking and I'm reminding, and for the sake of people like Katie and her mom, they want you to think about September, even though we're still in January. We got to get ready for the Celtic Festival and all these other events that are going to take place because there's nothing. Western New York, sure, we got a challenging winter, but spring, summer, and fall are so beautiful here. And there's so many opportunities to get out and do something. So here's the many opportunities of good old Western New York, 716, the Niagara Frontier. Here, here. I didn't know that was going to rhyme until the end. So we're going to stress, good morning, welcome. Somebody accompany the new person and walk them through it, I guess. And your name, please. Peggy? Oh, good. Now, that'll work. There's your agenda and welcome. I'm Toastmaster of the day. You'll find out that we all have different jobs and they rotate throughout the club. So even though I'm Toastmaster today, I will not be Toastmaster next week. Unless the computer messes up, but that's neither here nor there. I have to have a moment of reading here. Go ahead. What are we doing? Okay. Can I get back on the rails? All righty. The most important thing, our new guest, Peggy, is that absolutely at no charge, we're now going to give you one of our most precious gifts, the word of the day. And the word master is our own Eric Snyder. Eric, what's the word?
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest, the word of the day is vernal. I found this on Google just a few minutes ago. Vernal, V-E-R-N-A-L. Capturing the fresh and vibrant energy of both seasons while leaning slightly towards the springtime aspect with its origin in the Latin word ver, meaning spring. So vernal is the word of the day.
Thank you very much, Eric. Oh, we've been we're quick on our feet here. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. This is Kate, your general evaluator, who's not even listed on the agenda. Oh my gosh. Do you know who noticed it? Mary. That's why she's sergeant at arms. I'm running to my car because I forgot some extra coffee goodies. But I also wanted to interject. We have 3 guests in the space right now. Peggy arrived and just arrived Tanya Cunningham online. Hi, Tanya. Did anybody invite you? You're welcome to share with us how you heard about us. Just
No, I just walked in and intruded. Is that okay?
please join us and stay as long as you can. And you can observe, or we'll ask you at the end, if you're willing to participate, what you think about the meeting. Okay?
Thank you.
Awesome. Have you been to any Toastmasters meeting, or this is brand new?
Many years ago, probably at least a decade ago in Buffalo, the UB one.
Oh, you
I went to a
great
few.
club. Well, we started the same year as that club, so we're glad you're in our space. We hope you keep coming back. Well,
All right,
Dave
thank
was a
you.
founding member. I was not a founding member. And then repeat, brand newest member, actually. She joined 2 weeks ago, so I was wrong. We don't have a third guest in the space. Who knows? Maybe one will show up. Back to you, Dave.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sorry for
Thank you.
interrupting.
No.
Oh, and as general evaluator, I will generally evaluate the entire meeting, and Dave,
Stop by anytime, David.
and in general, the evaluators at the end, because Dave doesn't want me to actually evaluate the whole meeting. He's very strict
You
about that.
evaluate the evaluators and the Toastmaster of the day.
That's it.
Thank you.
Back to you.
And here's Eric with a bit of blue tape for the word of the day. We're going to put it prominently in front. And Tanya, we don't charge for that word of the day. That's a gift. Take it with you and use it all you want.
That'll be my word of the day.
Okay. Another thing that we're conscious of, and we are a public speaking, listening, and leadership club, because when you put public speaking and you add it to listening, you get leadership automatically. That's another benefit. And that is one of our newer members, and I'm so happy to introduce our grammarian, Maggie Craig.
Oh, sorry.
We're real serious here for the guest, Mag. Real serious.
Did you see what I just did? I just broke it and it works for me. Grammar is the system and structure of language and governing how words are combined to form sentences. Today, I'll be listening to your use of grammar, including parts of speech, sentence structure, tense, aspect, verb and noun agreement, punctuation, clauses, and phrases. I always wondered what we were actually looking for. I always thought maybe it's just the tense, but apparently there's a lot going on here. Have a good day.
And with any luck at all, our guests will learn about our wonderful habit of guarding the lectern with any luck. Oh. I found out the hard way after my long tenure as in Toastmasters International that if you use too many ahs and ums and too many pauses, it makes you sound unsure of yourself. So we don't want a lot of ahs and ums and pauses. We want pregnant pauses in our speeches, but we don't want too many pauses. And now I'd like to pause just a minute here and introduce our master, Beth Banks.
I will be counting those ahs and ums and pregnant pauses and just seeing how we do. I won't call out too many of you. I will do something though. I'm going to take this for just a minute because Eric read our definition pretty quickly and I didn't catch it all. So I want to make sure everyone catches. Vernal is capturing the fresh and vibrant energy of both seasons while leaning slightly towards the springtime aspect with its origin in the Latin word ver meaning spring. So I was able to use vernal, and I can't wait for the springtime myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know what, Beth, I don't think we give Eric enough credit. That's a heck of a word. Now that you've enhanced it for us. So we appreciate that. And what would a Toastmasters be without a little bit of humor? Mary Cabanero is the jester today, because we just got to have a jest. You sold out?
Yeah.
Oh, my heart is broken. Not as bad as the game, though.
I'm supposed to shake your hand, Dave. So, I have one joke. What sits on a seabed and has anxiety? What sits on a seabed and has anxiety? A nervous wreck.
Is that a dad joke? Anyways. Oh, well, now we're going to go to one of our Zoomers, which is Carol Ann Halstead, and she's going to have a quotation. Thank you, Carol.
That is one good thing about this world. There are always sure to be more springs. That's by Lucy Maud Montgomery. Spring is time of year for plans and projects. Tolstoy. The deep roots never doubt spring will come. That's Marty Rubin. And the last is to plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow. Audrey Hepburn. Thank you.
I got reprimanded for doing Clark Gable, so I won't do my Audrey Hepburn. And important part of a Toastmaster meeting is listening. And here to check our listening, we have a little quiz at the end. Quizmaster Mark Campos.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. My job today as Quizmaster is to test your listening skills. As things are said throughout the meeting, I will be compiling a list of questions, and I will test how well you have been listening, Mr. Toastmaster.
Seeing Mark does time with this theme. The theme is planning spring, summer, fall events. So we want to know, Mark, how many tents can we put on that property at Sunset Bay for the big Toastmasters weekend? So, and when we need a head count. Guy gets up there and he gives a speech, says, yeah, I'm going to retire. We got a place in Sunset Bay. My tail started wagging. But that was 50 years ago when I was having fun there. So things are different. Tanya, Maggie, part of being ready, part of being a Toastmaster is to be quick on your feet. So we have a little section here we call table topics. What, did Mikey leave his name off there? Oh, there he is, right there, right. How could I forget Michael?
Good morning, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. This morning, my job as the timer in Toastmasters is all our speeches are timed. Our table topics is 1.5 to 2 minutes. Our speeches are usually 5 to 7, unless otherwise noted. And our evaluators' our evaluations are usually 2 to 3 minutes. The speeches and the evaluations have a 30-second buffer, and our table topics have a 15-second buffer. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. Mr. Toastmaster, I'm still waiting for that meeting where he goes, take it away, Dad. Getting back to, he just mentioned the timing for table topics, and this is speaking off the cuff. And we always want to be ready, and we want to show how clever we are by working the word of the day in when we do our little table topics response. And that's important. That shows you that how quick we are on our feet. We do have an excellent table topics master this morning. His name is Mike Florio, and if I beg him, he'll go golfing with me again.
Thank you, David, for that wonderful introduction. I thought someone was going to walk through that door. I didn't know who it would be, but thanks again. And welcome, Toastmasters and our guests. Welcome. This is the part where you get to talk off the cuff, and I'm glad David picked me. Well, he didn't pick me. I picked myself as the table topics master, but I love summer. So Vernal leans to spring. I lean to summer. I love summer. I love that time of year. I love fresh cut grass. I love playing golf. I love picnics. I love barbecues, shorts, t-shirts, all of that stuff. You know, I love it. I mean, I want it to go from winter, boom, straight to summer, straight to summer. So now I get to choose, I get to pick a few people to come up and talk for about 2 minutes and use the word of the day. Now, Peggy, I think I thought I overheard that you have been a Toastmaster before. No, never? Okay. Well, we like to give people that are brand new to the game here a chance to come up. Yeah. Just jump right into the pool. Just go straight from spring to summer, right? Or straight. Yeah, well, okay. We'll do one just to show you, and then maybe, you know, you could be a target. No pressure. So, no, don't look at the door. All right. Well, you know, it's totally optional, So let's bring up someone that has maybe done this before. And Sylvia, are you a summer person, a spring person? And which one's your favorite? Maybe winter is your favorite. And let us know why, and make sure you use the word of the day.
Thank you for the opportunity. I thought you wanted Peggy to learn and you picked me. Okay. Well, am I a summer, spring, fall, winter person? That's a good question. I would say spring. I'm going to say spring. So I'm confident. Spring is usually around November, right after Thanksgiving. I'm starting to look for a spring trip because I know winter's coming and we're going to need it. And I'm in a habit with my two boys that played baseball in college that we went to spring training. We went to Florida many times and watched them play. Puerto Rico was the best trip. So we got into the habit as the seasons change, vernal changes into spring, that I make a trip every year. And this year it's going to be San Diego, Easter break. And well, we have to go see the young child there. It's 29 today. So happy birthday, Josh. And we're going to spend a week. And we were looking for things to do. And I'm hoping to go to the San Diego Zoo. There's a couple museums, Navy ports out there. We're going to go see a museum because my husband's big with history. And of course, I got to compare, because I've never been to the Pacific Ocean, which one's better, Pacific or Atlantic Ocean. So we got to compare and see what's going on. So that is how I like spring. Thank you.
Thanks, Sylvia. Our next contestant, we're going to go to Zoom land for this one. And David Jones, if you could travel anywhere, where would you go and how would you prepare for summer? Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Where would I go? During the summer, during the summer, I would only want to be on a cruise where I could be just sailing around with air-conditioned room and air-conditioned buildings, but then also get to walk outside and lay in the sun and have a drink. So anything summery would be the cruise because I'm more of a winter person. Born and raised in Miami, I enjoy living here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the cool. Buffalo would be fun for a while, I think, just shoveling snow and being snowed in all the time. But for me, a cruise is wonderful. I actually did a cruise once out of New York in October. We went up to Peggy's Cove in Canada, and that was very cold. There was a lot of wind and it was freezing weather. But every vacation for me usually comes down to a cruise because I am a number cruncher. And whenever I'm looking at best value, cruises always win. So my recommendation is if anybody has a family and they want to do a family vacation, check out a cruise first and then plan on going to Disney and spending twice as much money. But for myself, cruise is the way to go. And evidently there's a word of the day that I've never heard of called vernal, the freshness of the land. I'm just saying it because I don't know where to use it. So thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, David. So you're leaning a little towards winter. You're not really vernal, leaning towards spring, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to you now. I know. Now you've got the chance, and you've seen how we do it, right? I ask you a question, and you come up and you just talk about your life, right? Yeah, and you can change it. See, everybody's here to help. Everybody wants to do my job for me, but that's okay. So come on up, Peggy, and you've got a minute and a half, and I want you to talk about spring, summer, whichever's your favorite, wherever you want to go in the summer, whatever you want to do in the summer.
Okay. Well, being here is part of my vernal goals for this year because I wanted to start fresh and I wanted to improve my speaking skills because I am town supervisor of the town of Heartland. And I became a politician at 67 years old. And I've never done this before. So now I have to put myself in front of people monthly, and I don't want to say ums, okays anymore because I look at myself on Zooms and I'm horrified and want to crawl under the desk. So I also want to not twiddle my thumbs because I find that this shows up. And so I was looking for advice from or looking to find where I could go to learn those skills, and Toastmasters kept coming up. So I decided that I was going to do it. And what else would I be doing at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday? So I thank you all for all your advice that you can give me in advance. And I hope that it helps me in my new career as a politician. So thank you.
Thanks. Peggy, what can I say? That was awesome. You came to the right place. All right. Our motto is worth getting up for. And, every Thursday, everyone you see here is here for a reason. And yours is a great one. So I've been coming here a little while myself, and I've learned a lot. So you came to the right place. Thank you.
Mr. Topics Master.
Yes, Phil.
I'm a little perturbed.
Uh-oh.
You're really missing something. This is a very important thing. This is pre-vernal. It's called Groundhog Day, and it's Sunday. and we didn't hear anything about it. I am an official member of the Groundhoggers. It was started at a bar in Niagara Falls by one of our great friends and pre-members. So we've got to remember Groundhog Day, Mr. Table Topics Master.
See, and this is what you get too. You don't even pay for that entertainment. Thanks, Phil. Mr. Toastmaster. Oh, go ahead.
That's right, folks. On Groundhog Day, don't forget to go down to the intersection of Transit and Niagara Street and see if Phil comes out of the Niagara Hotel. Thank you for that little bringing us up to speed, Phil. All righty then. Now, the first thing I want to know, we're going to check in with Michael Licata. And Michael is aware of how his father thinks, so he knows that on our guest, the time probably isn't that important. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I can say that on time, all three of our speakers qualified this morning. Sylvia came in at 140. David Jones came in at 133, and Peggy with the buffer came in at 124. So on time, all three speakers qualified.
Thank you very much, Mike. And here's our vernal word master, Vern Snyder.
Has anybody realized that when I pick Vernal, people think Jim Varney? Did I set myself up for that one? Yes, I did. Anyway, yeah. Moving on. All right. Our word of the day has been used by Beth, Mike, Sylvia, David Jones, Peggy, and Groundhog Phil. So, Mr. Toast.
Thank you very much. Does our in-room guest and Tanya, you'll be invited to vote as well. There'll be a little opportunity on screen. Do you have a ballot? Because I'd like to point out that it's okay to vote for yourself, and it's always worked for me. Thank you. There are a million opportunities this summer, spring and summer, to help out at the canal. I am a Flight of Five ambassador, which means when strangers wander around the Flight of Five locks, and I got my swell shirt on that says ambassador, my New York State canal hat, I'm all ready to go. And it gives me an opportunity to tell strangers of the history of the canal, but more importantly, my version of how it all came to be. So I have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun. But something I'm prone to say, in my lifetime, the Erie Barge Canal and the locks have gone from an embarrassing ditch to a historic treasure. When I was a small child, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know the importance. I didn't know the significance. I was just lucky that when my cousin Jimmy and I played on the barges, we didn't get locked in and turn up years later in a dump. All right, now this is the meat here. Isn't it wonderful we have guests? I can drag out all the old cliches. Maggie, Tanya, this is the meat and potatoes portion of AM Lockport Toastmasters. And you'll be happy to know, our guests will be happy to know that nothing goes without evaluation and nothing goes without timing. And I'm saying evaluator because we never use the C word, which is criticism. We don't use it. It's the job of the evaluator that when they're done evaluating, the speaker cannot wait to get up and speak again. So my first evaluator, number one, is a schoolmate of mine. I wish she was a classmate of mine, but she's a schoolmate of mine, Jackie Kenny, and she's going to tell us what's on board when we bring Joe Budnick, speaker number one, up here. Jackie Kenny.
Good morning. Do you have a title? Or do you want me to do that?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You can do it.
Okay, I will do it. This morning, Joe is doing the path of least resistance. He's going to give us his memory, and he's doing that through writing a speech with purpose. His purpose this morning is to share memories of a beloved city. So this morning, we're going to hear from Joe Budnack. Come on up here, Joe, and give us your version of Memories of Toronto. A speech with purpose, Memories of Toronto.
Most of us have a favorite vacation spot, someplace we'd love to go that's near and dear to our hearts. Me, it's Toronto. I think it started early when my parents took me to the CNE when I was really young. I saw my very first concert at the CNE. It was in the early 1970s, and the Partridge Family was the most popular program that was on TV, and we saw David Cassidy in concert. My mother took a picture of the stage, and we have a photograph in our photo album. And there's this little white dot in the middle of the picture. That's David Cassidy. I don't know if that picture is worth something or not. It could be. But we also saw Johnny Cash in concert in Toronto, and I saw my favorite band for the first time, Duran Duran, in the 1980s. They opened for David Bowie. That was a great show. But my parents and I, we used to go to Toronto just for the weekend, and we stayed at the Sheraton Center Hotel. And the concourse underneath the hotel, it was like a whole city underground. The shops and the stores, it was fantastic. Take you right to the Eaton Center. And I'm telling you, none of our malls here compared to the Eaton Center. You could spend all day there. I'm a readaholic, so the world's biggest bookstore in Toronto, I was like a kid in a candy store in that place. That's another place I could spend all day. And Sam the Record Man, that was a great great shop that was there. I don't know if it's still there or not, but I think 50% of all my CDs that I own came from Sam the Record Man. And my parents and I always loved to go to the waterfront. It's truly beautiful there. The scenery, the shops, the sights, the sounds. It's truly wonderful. And I'd also recommend everyone at least visit the Toronto Science Center. That was truly amazing. When my parents first brought me there, I was a little too little to understand and really appreciate it. I'm like, what is this place? There's no rides here. But our teacher, my sixth grade teacher, Mrs. Kankowitz, took us there on a field trip when I was in sixth grade, and it was absolutely wonderful. I've been there a couple times, and the exhibits are really wonderful. They're actually interactive, and I'd recommend you going there at least once in your life, if not more times. Years ago, I used to work, before I started working at the school and before I went to college, I was working in these factory jobs that I hated, and I used to have to work afternoons. But I would get home at night and I turned the TV on, and on the Canadian station, there was this program called Night Moves. All it was just a camera slowly panning through the city of Toronto, set to very soft jazz music. And it was only like a half an hour long, and I would sit there absolutely entranced, imagining I'm walking through those streets and enjoying the sights and sounds. Kind of soothed my nerves after a stressful day at work. And when we stayed at the Sheraton Center, I was maybe about 13, 14. I used to just leave the hotel room. My parents let me do this and just walk around the hotel at night. Yes, I was a 13-year-old unattended walking through a hotel by myself. It was a different time back then, different time and place back then. I didn't go out on the streets, but I could have been safe back then. But I just enjoyed walking around the place, seeing what I could see, and just being happy that I was actually there. I hadn't been there in a while, and a couple years ago, my cousin Rick and his wife Ling came up from Ohio to visit us, and we spent a day in Toronto. And I hadn't been there in a while, and it was like coming home. I was once again enchanted by the sights, the sounds, and everything that there was to see. Now, I've been to other places. I've been to other cities. I've been to New York. I've been to Las Vegas, and I've been to some cities, of course, in Europe. We've been to Europe. And yeah, I guess there's a little more to see and do in a lot of other cities, but my heart and soul stays in Toronto because of the memories and just the sentimental value. So if any of us fellow Toastmasters would like to plan a trip sometime when the weather is decent and it's not 30 below out, and maybe spend a day there, I'm on board. Because really, I think Toronto has something for everyone, whether it be sports, theater, cultural, or just plain eating. And I remember my mom and I years ago saw the musical Cats in Toronto and that at the Winter Garden, and that was absolutely phenomenal. So who says you need to go to New York City Broadway to see some great musicals? That's also where I saw Phantom of the Opera. So like I said, my heart and soul belongs to Toronto, and I'd love to go there again. Thank you.
On the ballot, you will notice a section that says Toastmaster of the Day, Evaluator of the Day, First Speaker of the Day, etc., and so on. So if you care to pass a note to one of our speakers, that's an opportunity as well. Okay, we've got Les Robinson is going to come up shortly, but we can't introduce Les until we introduce Nancy Ferry, and Nancy is the evaluator. Please welcome Nancy Ferry.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, Dave Licata, Dave Licata, Dave Licata. I heard my name 3 times. I wanted to honor that. That's right. Les Robinson. I have the privilege of evaluating him today. The purpose of his project is for Les to learn about and apply the skills needed to run a lessons learned meeting during a project or after its completion. And to share some aspect of this leadership experience and the impact of a lessons learned meeting. And the title of his speech, The Lessons Learned in My Topic. Let's hear from Les Robinson. Miss.
Thank you, Nancy.
It's 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Nancy. Lessons learned. I actually started this as a Toastmasters lessons learned topic, but I have been part of a team for over 2 years. And when I went down to Florida, there was a big lesson that I learned. And it was ironically that I had already started the first speech to get ready. And I was working on the first speech, and it didn't have the kicker as the second speech would have. So I look at criticism or lessons learned as 2 buckets. There's 95% of the population that are here to help you understand and to grow. And then there's 5% of the people that are very vindictive because they just enjoy it. Now, what I look at it as is the 95% I review, I look over, look under the hood and go forward. And also with the 5% that are truly vindictive, once in a while you find something that's actually a gold nugget and actually helps you succeed. So I look at both worlds. Now, lesson learned. I have gotten to the FPA National Convention to speak at the LTCI convention. We have shifted the paradigm from A to B. I'm not going to get into all of the inertia, what the speeches are, because I will have a great time and no one will be like, yeah. So we're going to keep it generic. So we worked on this. We've been invited back to speak on the same topic. I have switched the topic to my presentations for my seminars. And I was going to do it 2 weeks ago for the new updated one, and we had a snowstorm in Lancaster, was not able to do it. Last night I was able to do it at another school system, and I was very animated. I took out the problem, I replaced it with some key words, and I had a more engaged audience. I was like, wow, this is great. Now, everyone here probably for the past 15 years has heard about my topic, and really nobody really cares about my topic. But here is the kicker of the whole situation. Once in a while, and anybody who remembers tuning up a car, hitting a distributor, gapping spark plugs, if you are over 30, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Dave Licata and Phil Russell know exactly what I'm talking about because these are the things that really make an engine run. Same thing with Toastmasters is the ability to incrementally grow and learn. Now, I have been doing this for a very, very long time. And once in a while, you learn something, you look at it, you say, yeah, this is great. I have done that with Toastmasters. I've done this in my real life. All over the place, I have looked at everything. But this was one of the most interesting lessons that I had ever learned in a very long time. So we went to Nashville for our regular meeting, which it was actually more snow and colder in Nashville than it was in Western New York. So the part two was the other part of the team. We were going down to Florida. So I went down to Florida. And ironically, the weather was worse in Florida than it was here. So it was kind of funny. And they got snow after I left. So I spent my hour and a half driving to my meeting. I got to my meeting. I had audio talking, I had visual, I had all of the presentations because everybody on the team is a little bit different. And those are lessons that I have learned from Toastmasters that you want everyone to understand what you're talking about. And then Margie goes, Les, we have a little itty bitty problem. I'm like, okay, a little itty bitty problem in Margie's world means she's ready to blow the universe up. And she says, you've been muddying up the waters. I'm like, well, how have I been muddying up the waters? And she's like, well, you have moved the whole team to speaking nationally. You've increased our sales, referrals. You have done everything. But we realize that there's one thing that you're muddying up the water and you need to change. And I'm like, what do I need to change? I have redone the topics, presentations. We've had successes all across the board. And she goes, Medicaid is muddying up the waters. And I'm like, what do you mean by Medicaid is muddying up the waters? He said, you use it a little bit too much in your presentations. We use it less. And I sat back there and I grabbed my book. I looked at my book and I said, I have a whole book about this. And she says, I know. You need to make some few minor changes to your presentation. You still need to talk about the look back. You still need to kind of talk, but make it a secondary risk assessment in the presentation. And I sat back there and I'm like, wow, my brain I just paused and every dead silence. And I went over, I got up. Now I'm 6'6", and these people are 5'5", 5'6". And I get up and I go over and I hug Margie and I say, you are so right. I said, let's do this. So I pull it out, boom, boom, boom. And about 30 seconds later, this change. And she's like, you got it. And the group goes, you got it. So once in a while, the lessons learned are so minute, but so powerful. You don't realize exactly what you're doing. And that is one thing I like about Toastmasters that has taught me over the years is to step back, to listen, and to evaluate. You've got the two buckets, you got the people that are really here to help you, and then you got the vindictive, interesting people, because I'm using the word interesting, but usually once in a while there is a golden nugget in that. But overall, taking evaluation, taking it, and then becoming a better speaker, better presenter. So that is what happened to me. So I want to thank everybody at Toastmasters for over the years of helping me to understand, to be the better leader, and to do the sandwich approach. Thank you very much. And I believe the word of the day is Virno. I have no idea how to use it. Thank you. Oh, timer off. And by the way, I'm off speaking on the topic. And I want you all to know that I have seen Phil Russell at the Niagara Hotel waiting for Groundhog Day.
Thank you, Les. Now we're going to go back. This is all Zoom, I think. Wait a minute. Okay. We're going Zoom. Maggie, you'll be happy to know that the next speaker is from Peggy. Peggy, I'm sorry. Hi, Meg. You'll be happy to know our next speaker is indeed from Somerset. Our evaluator is Tracy Farrell, and she's going to bring us up to speed on my boss, Margot Sue Bittner. Tracy.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guest. And I have to point out, Peggy, it's been 3 days since I've seen you. Welcome to Toastmasters, and I hope you joined. It's the same reason I joined, to increase my speaking skills.
Did you do a little recruiting?
No, I didn't. She's Mike's boss, and I have to tell you, I'm evaluating my boss right now. So today I'm going to be evaluating Margot. She's working from the Strategic Relations Manual. She can give a speech on anything she wishes. It could be humorous, informational, any style. However, she has to use her voice and vocal variety to communicate some of her message. Her speech is 5 to 7 minutes, and I assume that you have her title, Mr. Toastmaster.
I have the title and an introduction.
All right.
After a long, arduous relationship with a man that she eventually married, she finally convinced Jim that vacations were not a bad thing. So Margot and Jim just returned from their annual cruise. This is a story of one of their excursion adventures. Take it away, Margot.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Yes, we went on our annual cruise. We were on the Norwegian Gem for 11 days. I picked this cruise for one specific reason. We were going to their private island, Harvest Caye in Belize. It had fabulous reviews. The beaches looked wonderful. There were lawn chairs, umbrellas, shops, had everything I wanted. Now, before you get on a cruise, you have the opportunity to select all of your excursions. And I had given my husband a whole list of excursions that might be fun to do. And what did he do with that list? Forgot it. Never looked at it. So when we got on the Gem, he went and grabbed the whole list of excursions. And he's reading through, and he says, hey, look, there's an excursion to a spice farm. I said, oh, okay. And he's going on about how wonderful it sounds and says, let's sign up for this. I said, when is it? He says, it's on Saturday, the 11th, when we're in Belize. I said, Belize? That's Harvest Caye. That's their private island that I want to go to. He goes, okay. And next thing I know, we're signing up to go to a spice farm. Yes. So we get our thing put in and we get a note to our room. We're sorry, your excursion is sold out, but we'll put you on the wait list. So I reminded him, in Belize, it's Harvest Caye. You can go snorkeling. I can sit on the beach. There's shops, there's food. It's going to be great. At least it was going to be until Norwegian added some people and we got to go to the spice farm. The first thing they tell us is you need bug spray. Now, I didn't bring bug spray on a cruise. Most people don't think they need bug spray. So Jim trots me down to the little shop and we bought bug spray. $13 for a thing of bug spray. Yes. We get ready for the excursion. I'm reading the materials and it says, because of the insects, we recommend long pants and closed-toed shoes. So I go out on our balcony and discover it's 85 degrees outside, humid, hot, but being the good soldiers we are, we put on our long pants, we put on our closed-toe shoes, we grabbed our bug spray, we grabbed our suntan lotion and our hats and head off to our excursion. We get off the boat and we are walking across the island to the meeting place. And I pointed out to my husband, see the beautiful beach over there? You could go snorkeling today. Nope, we're going to Spice Farm. We get to the meeting place and we discover you get on a boat to take a 40-minute ride to the mainland. We get to the mainland and discover not a farm nearby, not like Niagara County where we're right along the lake. No, the farm is an hour bus ride in. An hour in a bus with barely working air conditioning on an 85-degree hot day in our long pants and closed-toed shoes. We get out to the spice farm finally after a wonderful explanation of Belize's history and culture from our guide. And we're standing outside and we're gathered around, and it's explained to us that we're going to go on an excursion. Here's a John Deere tractor with benches on a wagon behind it, and they're going to drive us around. Now, everybody should know you're really lucky to be here in January because this isn't bug season. It's only when it's wet between April and September. So you don't need your bug spray that they told you to bring. Guess we didn't need the long pants and closed-toed shoes either. So we get on our wagon and we're going through, and they show us this is cinnamon. You know, it's from the bark. And let me pick a leaf so you can smell the cinnamon. Nobody can smell the cinnamon. Till Farmer Jim says, oh, break the petal. That's the stem of the leaf. And everybody smells cinnamon. And this is nutmeg. And here's pepper. And this is vanilla. And they're showing us how they grow all these different things and explaining the process. And Farmer Jim is asking Farmer Jim questions. And we get back to their shop. Now, in the shop, it's the room about the size we were in the YWCA. There's a lunch counter, which we didn't want. And then there's spices. My husband decides he has to buy spices. He bought black pepper. Like, we don't have black pepper here in the United States, but he had to buy black pepper. We then got onto the bus for our hour-long ride back. And as we get back, I realize it's now 5:10. All aboard is 5:30. And I guess the GEM folks were concerned that we weren't going to get there in time because they sent all these little carts to pick us up, like golf carts that hold like 8 or 10 people. And they pile us in these and take us back to the ship. So I don't get to walk by the shops. I get to wave at the beach. And as we're getting off the cart and getting back onto the boat, my husband's jabbering around about all the neat things he saw, and they do this and they do that. And I looked back at the beach, and I looked up at him, and I thought, the things you do for love, Mr. Toastmaster.
And now it's time for a timers report, checking in with Mike Licata. Michael.
Good morning again, Mr. Toastmaster. All three speakers qualified this morning. Joe with the buffer at 4:53. Les clocked in at 6:46, and Margot came in at 5:45. So all three speakers qualified this morning. Thank you very much.
Very much, Mr. Timer. So they're all eligible. Vote for your favorite speaker of the morning. And this is where I fill in. We have to do little fill-ins. I like air shows. There's an air show right under our nose in Geneseo. It's in the first weekend in June, I believe, but double check me on that. And they're very serious about commemorating World War II. And it's very close, and the Air Force is nice enough to send this amazing jet over. They can't land there because it's a turf runway, and jets will set the grass on fire. But they have all my favorites, the P-51s, the Mustangs, the Warhawks. It's a great show, and if you're clever and you've been there 9 times like I have, you bring your big wagon and your folding chairs and plenty of water. And the amazing thing, we have a gentleman in our Optimist Club who was a very active Air Force veteran and loves air shows, but he had never been to this air show. So I took him, and we had a fine time. But if you're really serious and you want to go nuts, you go to Reading, Pennsylvania, and I believe it's the same weekend. They got the World War II weekend, and they are crazy. I've never seen such dedication to World War II and recreating World War II. So we get there and they've got not just planes, folks. They got tanks, they got jeeps, they got flamethrowers, they got everything. And they have announcements. Don't forget at 1 o'clock in the French village, there will be a skirmish. Went down to the skirmish. Sadly, a bunch of our boys were killed. The rest were captured. I looked at my wife. I said, we came the wrong day. We have to come when the Americans win. But the thing that impressed me the most, that they went to such detail and took such pains, because there's reenactors from every theater, every country. But the one that really, I'll never forget, I'm walking down the concourse, and walking towards me is a woman in 1943 dress. They paid an actress to walk around and look like Eleanor Roosevelt. That's serious stuff, folks. So that's stuff that you can plan for in the summer. All right, this is the most important part of the meeting where we evaluate, because our evaluators, that's why this club, Tanya, Maggie, no, that's not Maggie, Peggy. They both come from Margaret. Well, anyways. Dave, you have two sons, don't you? Yes, but I suspect I might have a daughter. Our first evaluator, Jackie Kenny.
Mr. Toastmaster. All right.
I'm sorry, my pen.
No pen, sorry. Thank you, Joe. You gave us wonderful memories of Toronto, and we walked through the city with you. You took us step by step, one vignette after another, sharing your memories and your enjoyment of what is really a very beautiful city. I think most of us have visited and enjoyed it. The chronology of your memories was very well organized. You didn't skip around and go back and forth. You took us from your childhood when you first became enchanted with Toronto all the way up through adulthood. And I enjoyed that very much. You painted some very nice word pictures that took us right into your memory. I think one thing you could do to enhance your presentation is slow down. You had 5 minutes. You had 7 minutes. You could have gone on more explicitly, and you could have also maybe warmed a little bit to your subject by slowing down. You're a very good storyteller, and you really like to share your stories with everyone. I think that's a great thing. Make more eye contact and plan some gestures. You gave us a few things, but I think you could come up with some gestures that would speak to your content a little bit more and give us those gestures in a timely way to enhance your speech a little bit more. But all in all, Joe, I always enjoy your stories, and it's nice that you have all these memories. You've traveled a lot with your family. That's a great thing. Definitely a gift.
Thank you, Jackie. Evaluator number 2, evaluating Les Robinson. Ever ready, and here she comes, Nancy Ferry.
Les, it's always difficult to evaluate somebody who's so experienced and has many, many years of Toastmasters under his belt. Thank you so much for your speech today. I heard so many wonderful things if I was new at Toastmasters, the things that we can learn from Toastmasters, nobody can give it to us just in a condensed version. And I think your speech really excelled at giving us a condensed version of how important it is to present yourself well, to give a good speech. People listen and they learn from us. Your hand gestures are good. It's hard on Zoom, and sometimes all we see is a little bit of your hands, but I know that you're gesturing because I can see your shoulders moving. If you were here, we would know you were doing more bold gestures, but perhaps, I don't know, move them up a little bit. You drew the audience in. You looked at both sides of your screen, talking with us as if you were in person looking at the audience. You built up very gradually what your lessons were that you learned. You shared great lessons for all of us in Toastmasters. Be flexible. Sometimes you need to tweak your speech at the last minute. A well-presented speech can have a huge impact on others. Use audio visual as much as possible so that you can connect with all kinds of audience members. Learn to step back and listen for our evaluations, the importance of evaluations that to help us become better speakers. Your pace, your cadence were good. Just challenge yourself. It's hard on Zoom, but sometimes you rock in and rock out and rock in and rock out. And for me, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but all in all, it was a great speech. And I really appreciate kind of a summary of our experiences at Toastmasters. Thank you very much, Les Robinson.
Back to the land of Zoom. Tracy Farrell will now very gingerly evaluate her boss. Good luck, Trace. Go ahead. Tracy Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I'm going to need it. Margot is an excellent speaker. The things we do for love. We have all heard stories about Margot being married to a farmer, never having the time to travel to enjoy the finer things in life. And we also know that Margot and Jim are complete opposites in these ways. However, they do have a true lasting love. Margot did a fantastic job explaining her trip today. She used great vocal variety. She even wore her outfit that she wore on the cruise today, and her story was engaging. She was focusing on vocal variety, though. She did fantastic projection. Her pitch was good. Her voice quality was good. Very articulate. She's always good at that. Her timing, it was a little bit fast at times. Not so much, I'm being really picky here, not so much that it took away from the speech, but a couple of long pauses may help your vocal variety. And maybe you're like, ugh, do I have to go to another farm again? Just to kind of add to that. We know your backstory and your relationships, but maybe you want to delve a little bit deeper into why you didn't want to go to a farm on your vacation. We all know you. We have a lot of guests in the room that might not know that backstory. So that might have helped your speech a little bit too for your audience wise. I thought you did a fantastic job. It's very difficult to evaluate Margot, not just because she's my boss, but because she is an excellent speaker. And I do enjoy listening to all of her speeches. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Michael, how do the evaluators do on time? Do they stay within the parameters?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good morning again, fellow Toastmasters and our guests. I'm to report all three of our evaluators came in on time this morning. Jackie came in at 2:25, Nancy came in at 2:37, and Tracy came in at 2:08. So all three of our evaluators qualified on time. Thank you very much.
Hey, please take a moment to grab that last chit off your ballot and vote for who you think did the best job on evaluation. The people in Zoom will be given an opportunity to vote as well. Now that Margot's speech is in the clear, it's at least 10 minutes ago, I can now speak about her speech and say, Margot, this guy took you to a tractor show on your honeymoon. What did you expect?
He wanted to, I didn't go.
Oh, dear. So I went over the fact that we have to start planning spring and summer. We can start planning the fishing trip, the golf trip, the trip to the air show. If anybody else has got any ideas, that's great as well. But you know how fast everything goes. So I'd like to invite, seeing how we do have some time, is there anyone that has a special event this summer that they want to talk? No, not the Celtic Festival. No. I'm kidding. Oh, all right. That's the way you're looking at it. Thank you. So does anyone have an event they wish to share with us that comes up in the spring or the summer? Go ahead. Oh, it's not about giving blood, is it? Yeah, sure. Come on up.
Else raise their hand. Keep thinking if you have something you'd like to share, but David didn't like look at me or wink at me even when he mentioned his activities. He many years ago dubbed me the cruise director. I'm the social planner of the club. Do we have plans? Of course we'll have plans. Oh my goodness. Well, the next activity is February 22nd, the area contest. So drumming up support to support you and our other contestants on February 22nd, which is Maggie and Phil on Zoom and David to represent our club against the other clubs in the area. So that's coming up in February, and you will go on to the next level. That's what we're going to make happen. Expect. That's right. In March, then they hopefully move on to the division level if they win at the area level, and will compete against all the other Buffalo Regional Division A in March, and then the conference all the way.
When the region, then you go on and you can win the Super Bowl of public speaking.
That's right.
If you're in the international speech contest.
That's right. And so the conference will be at the end of April again in Rochester for the whole district. So that's coming up. And last couple of weeks, we've been speaking about going to Shaw Festival again at Niagara on the Lake. And if we're into a musical, we can go to Anything Goes.
Dun, 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 to go to Anything Goes because the gentleman, the Cole Porter, I believe.
Cole Porter.
They're all great songs.
Cole Porter musical.
They're all great.
There's also the drama Major Barbara, the comedy. I had to write this one down. Tons of Money. Sounds good. So this will be the 5th year that we've gone to Shaw Festival as a group. I'm super excited. Not consecutive years. It's exciting to plan for probably a May matinee Saturday again. If you have any questions or interest, let me know. Also, in my official capacity as immediate past president of this club, it's not too early to be thinking about elections of officers. In 3 months, we'll have our elections, and as my role, the main role of the immediate past president, in addition to supporting the current officer team, is to help select the next officer slate. In this club, we typically find one person to fill each role and do the voting the first week meeting of May. So that's coming up. If you would like to be an officer or have questions, I already have a kind of a list of some dream team options. Time out,
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce our general evaluator, Katie Banks.
Might as well. Thank you so much, Dave. Sit down, sit down. As GE, I'm evaluating the meeting. I also hear there's a birthday coming up this weekend. Is it a Groundhog's birthday, Marty? Groundhog's Day, Marty. He won't be at the Niagara Hotel, I promise you. Neither will I. Happy birthday, Marty. Aw. Phil, the bar's sold out, the hats are sold out, something, because the bar is closed. I'm not sure all the details. It will live forever. Okay, I loved your topic, Dave, even though it is January and it has been freezing, although it's like a heat wave. Yesterday, it was almost 40 at my house and raining when I left my house in Olcott. It sure wasn't when I was down in Olean at St. Bonaventure. It was very, very cold all day. It's really great to be thinking, though, ahead. And what are we going to be planning for the vernal times? You may remember the word vernal with the equinox. If you remember winter solstice and summer solstice, vernal equinox and autumnal equinox, that's the only time we hear it a little more regularly. That's the spring equinox. That's coming up March, probably 20th or something like that. Anyway, I love the evaluators. So since I have been shifted into the evaluating capacity, I will do that. Yes, Dave. Yes, I'll do a quick GE and then I'll pass it back to Dave. We'll have announcements. Welcome our guests if they would like to share what they thought about the meeting. Let's get right to it. It is 8:18. Okay. Very skilled evaluators today. I did notice on the schedule we had all three men speaking and all three were ladies who were evaluating. That's interesting. And I evaluate you. So that was interesting.
Excuse me?
Right? So, Dave. Oh, no. Did I mix it up? I'm sorry. You're right, Margot. I'm a jerk. Margot, sorry. What the heck? Maybe I was looking at last week. I apologize, Margot. Oh, my goodness. See, I haven't even had enough coffee yet today. I'm glad you.
Our humor for the
I'm
day,
glad you
Kate.
said
Good.
something. Goodness gracious. And Margot, there's a murder mystery coming up in May. I have to talk to you about that. But thank you for emailing me about that. Y'all should go to the murder mysteries. Several of our Toastmasters have participated, probably 8 or 9 of us at this point. Okay, back to our evaluators. For our guests and our members, evaluating is more challenging than speaking for most of us. You must give a prepared speech 3 times before you can even be put on the schedule as an evaluator or service Toastmaster of the day. And we do for our newest members and our guests today, our honored guests, we set a schedule quarterly. So we know who is who in advance. Who is Toastmaster of the day next week? Carol Ann. We'll get back to you, Carol Ann, if you have a theme picked. Jackie evaluating Joe today. She kept us right on track. There was a little bit of a scrambling at the beginning. She took hold of the lectern. Vivid evaluation. You matched Joe well with your voice, with your tone. Your eye contact with Joe was fantastic. Great suggestions to slow down that I also was listening to, of course, as I continue to improve that maybe biggest weakness that I have, one of the biggest. You're so poised at the lectern, and I think because we are here to improve, it is so challenging to give suggestions when speeches and evaluations are so strong. But we are here to improve. That being said, we are here to improve and not say the word but, like Mark always says. That being said, look for a stronger close. You gave a strong close in a way. You recapped very kindly and then kind of ended so that Dave didn't know if he should come back up, and then you spoke again. So you both were speaking at the same time. That was choppy. Otherwise, it was very strong. Nancy, also excellent eye contact with Les, which is more challenging on Zoom. Same as Jackie, your use of the mic, your voice, your tone, your pace was excellent. And I have to make better eye contact too, so I remembered to come back to it. I agree with you that less to watch your leaning. That is a trademark of yours. I think you can make it more intentional and lean in and back for emphasis. Even better. It was a bit natural and a bit back and forth. You do it when you're in person or Zoom. I love that suggestion. Tracy, moving on to Tracy. So difficult to evaluate Margot. I've evaluated her too when she was my boss. Oh my goodness, it is a challenge. And you both are on Zoom. I'm glad for that. So you can pick up the Zoom speaking qualities. Again, you gave excellent advice, and it is so difficult. And I wouldn't have thought of that. Connect the dots for the newest members and guests who maybe don't know the backstory. So I love that. That could be for everybody. Reminder for Les and everybody. Like, I don't know what all those letters stand for, and I have heard many of your speeches about insurance. And so just connecting the dots, because we do have in the space lots of new members and guests. I think that is enough for me. Dave is great. He's not my dad. That was a great call out. That was hilarious. I mean, his son was in my wedding. So you're not that much older than my dad. You two have so much in common. Oh my gosh. So much in common. I'm sorry, Mom. Dave, back to you. And it sounds like Dave has an announcement and others. Dave, why don't you come on up? We'll let Dave keep sitting. The two Daves, and then the third Dave. I'm not saying that. So more American Sign Language for one last time.
The important thing is dragging after 2 years of reminding him to be my guest at Toastmasters, he finally acquiesced. And we learned a lot about the American Sign Language at the Optimist Club, but we learned more about it here in Toastmasters. And the beauty of it is, I believe that when David Jones is the supreme leader and pope of all Toastmasters everywhere, it'll be because he started a whole branch of Toastmasters that use American Sign Language. And I'll have a little bit of, I'll be a little footnote in that story. Go ahead. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Dave Shannon.
First, a message for Dave Jones. Don't tell what I'm about to say to people down in Charlotte. Through David Jones, believe it or not, he arranged our real estate person in Charlotte who found us a house in Hickory. And she has gone beyond being a real estate agent. She hired an inspector for us. She's doing all sorts of stuff for us, and we're appreciating that. So don't tell her, Dave. We made a little basket from Western New York that we're going to bring down to her. In the basket, and it's not that big, we have Chevetta's sauce, we have sponge candy, we have Anchor sauce, and we have Weber's mustard. So we're going to bring, don't tell her, Dave. And so we are going to bring that down to her next week when we meet her again. And I want to offer something that might happen. I'm going to Zoom in here on Thursday mornings, and I'm going to see you guys through Zoom and whatever. I want to make a suggestion. We are not going to have this stuff forever down there. We're going to run out of this stuff. You can come visit. We will have a place for you to stay. But if you can't do that, a little care package you could send us, not without being reciprocal. We will send a care package from North Carolina, including mud bugs, little crawfish, and all sorts of other stuff.
I have to do some reports.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. We're exceptionally happy that when those items were collected, Marty didn't get caught. All right. How about save word master to last? And where's our master? Beth. Thank you. Oh. Maggie, if you would queue up behind her, that'd be great. All right. Here you go, Beth Banks.
Thank you, Dave. We actually did very well today with our ahs and ums. I counted 9 uhs, but that's pretty good. I only counted 2 ums. Joe, you had a few ands that probably weren't necessary. Les also had a few ands. Less's connector is so. So. Margot, I did want to say, it's probably your husband's influence on my husband, but when we went on the cruise on the Danube, the only excursion my husband wanted to go on was a farm. My husband is not a farmer. He just works for Jim. Thank you.
Tell Jim he should be here next week for a rebuttal, the poor man. Maggie Craig.
So, I just I'm going to be really fast. Dave Licata, I liked that you always use great language. You always have great descriptors. The Niagara Frontier, here. And I'm being a dog person, a big dog person, and my tail started wagging. I love that. My tail wags all the time. Joe Budnick, this is not necessarily about grammar. I'm sorry to tell you that the Science Center has been condemned and it's being torn down and turned into condominiums. Sam's is gone, and the Night Moves was a car driving through Toronto, and I watched it all the time too. You said, okay, what I look at it as and how I look at it would be a better, using as at the end is not, well, it's not exactly grammatically correct, but it also just doesn't flow very well. Here's one thing that you're muddying up waters that you have to change. And we're missing, I noticed this a couple of times where you just miss a word. So there's one thing that you're mudding up the waters with that you have to change. So you're missing the word with. There's a couple of things like that. And I think it's just when you get talking, you just jump. And I do the same thing because I like to talk fast. I think Kate and I have a lot in common. And Tracy rather, you added at the end for your audience, which was perfect. And then you just added wise. And that just sort of just made your sentence not as strong as it was to begin with. Joe Budnick, just want to tell you that I lived in Toronto for many years and my children live there. And I still own a home downtown in Toronto, and you're welcome to come and stay in our guest room and visit Toronto anytime.
Oh, quiz time, Mark Campos.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. I have prepared a quiz. Memo to self, I need to write in a larger font. What grade will Dave Licata educate on the Erie Canal? 4th grade, correct. Our guest Tanya was a member of what Toastmasters club? Correct, UB. Peggy is town supervisor of what town? Correct. What is David Jones's favorite type of vacation? Cruise. It's also Margot's favorite type of vacation as long as she is selecting the excursions. When is Groundhog Day? Are you happy? It's also Marty's birthday. Phil, I just wanted to make you happy. That's for you, buddy. Joe Budnick mentioned 3 concerts he saw in Toronto. Can you name them? Johnny Cash, Duran Duran. More specifically, David Cassidy. And Joe, all I have to say is you have some eclectic tastes, my man. That is quite varied. In what way was Les muddying the waters? Medicaid. And lastly, what ship was Margot's 11-day cruise on? The Norwegian Gem. Mr. Toastmaster.
I'm dying to know how the word of the day made out, so I'm going to welcome Eric to the lectern.
Hi, Mike. Okay. Nobody used the word after table topics except for Les. Oh, you did? Okay, I didn't hear it. I was just burning myself out here. Anyway, I would like to invite Beth and Dave back up for announcements. Winners.
First off, could you come up and tell us how you felt about the meeting? And Tanya, get ready. Is Tanya still on board? Go ahead. You have a good time?
Oh, yes. This is exactly what I need. That's basically it. Everything that you're saying, I don't know anything about hand gestures, so I'm hand gestures, speaking slowly, everything that I wanted to know, I think I'm going to learn in this group. So thank you very much.
Is Tanya? Tanya, good morning. Could you give us a reaction to this group? Instead of we're a little looser.
Well, you seem like a very fun group, and I live in Ransomville, so this was the closest when I did Toastmasters near me. This was the closest to me. So back when I was at UB, I was in the Williamsville area, and so this is nice and close, and it seems like a really fun group, and yeah.
And we'd love to meet you in person so we can hand you an application. Thank you. All right, our winners. Oh, I'm sorry, Peg, you have to come up again. It's table topics. She won table topics. Wait a minute. All right, there are many town supervisors in the great state of New York, but they don't have a blue ribbon.
Thank you.
Welcome. Our best evaluator is out there in Zoom land. It's our own Tracy. And I'm so happy to announce that the best speaker is in person. It's Joe Budnak with his stroll through Toronto.
Thank you. Right.
All right, the whole reason we come here every week, split club. Oh my goodness. 26, 20, listen, they put drafts in my eyes 2 days ago and I still can't read.
The winner of the split club for today, the last three numbers are 825. Okay. Next week, Carol Ann is Toastmaster. Our speakers are Eric, Phil Russell, and Steve Smith. And alternate speaker is Tracy. So I believe we've had plenty of announcements today, and I think we're done. Thank you very much. I don't know where the cap. There we go.